Boleh. Okay. For Mr. John O, dia ada property in Gombak and property in Johor. Yeah, property in Gombak is a disposed to wife, so it's a no gain no loss. So you have to explain a bit lah why is it no gain no loss, because the disposal is disposal from a husband to wife that give rise to no gain no loss on the disposal. But the wife, the deemed efficient price would be the AP plus PE of the disposal. Okay, now we have another property for Mr. John O, which is the Johor property. So this one is very straightforward. Can you just compute what is the AP and DP of property in Johor? So let's look at the question again. Okay, so let's look at property in Johor. All right, you acquired the land on February 2014. Right, acquire another piece of land in Johor and you 120,000 for the land and you incurred 15,000 for the filling. So now you decide which one is your AP and which one is your DP. Right, can you help me to compute whether there's a chargeable gain or loss on the property in Johor? Okay, I will share with you for the property in Johor, right? Can you see that clearly? Okay, for property in Johor, land in Johor, you have acquisition price, you have paid 120,000 for the land. Yeah. And then disposal price is made up of the consideration received for the land, which is 120,000. And then you minus your enhancement cost, which is the cost you pay for the filling of low-lying land, 15,000. And then you also have your valuation fees. All these are deducted from your consideration received. So you have valuation fees, legal fees, and stamp duty. On top of that, you also have your advertisement. Yeah, advertisement of 500,000. 500, is it 1,000? No, 500 ringgit only. Yeah. From here, this would be your, all this is your disposal price, 197,800. Are you following? Okay, ah? Yeah. Right. So sekarang ni I tunjuk you jawapan I. Tak boleh tahu sebenarnya. Okay, tak apa. So you ada disposal price 197,000, acquisition price 120. Because of that, you ada chargeable gain of 77,800. And remember that the disposal is Mr. John O. He's an individual. That's why you give exemption of 10,000 or 10%. So in this case, the 10% is 7,000 only, 7,780. So that's why you go for the higher 10,000 ringgit. So you should get balance 67. After your exemption, remember Mr. John O had a loss brought forward. Okay, the loss amounting to 2,600. So that one is deducted also. Then the balance 65,200. So how long is the holding period for this? How much is how long is the holding period? Nanti I nak tengok balik. Is it? You acquired that in February 2014. I selalu kena kira balik. 14 February 2000. Oh, February 2014 lah. Right, February. So 1 year is 2015. Then 2016 you dispose on 3rd August 2018. 3rd August 2018. So this one 2017, 2018. Now you are already in 5th year. Is it? Are you in the 5th?
Yes, Doctor. 5th year.
5th year kan? So kalau 5th year, what's the rate? This one is in 2018. So you tak boleh pakai this rate tau. Nampak tak kat sini? Effective from 2000, 2019. So it's not this rate. You should use the rate kat bawah ni. Ni. 31st December. So you kena pakai rate ni, which is in the 5th year, the rate is 15%. Nampak sini?
Yeah, 15%.
Okay, you kena pakai rate kat sini sebab dia 2018. So kena pakai table for 2018. So careful with that. Nah. Alright. So normally dalam exam kita, I don't know. Dalam exam ni bagi kita, sebab, okay, sebab dalam exam soalan ni soalan exam. So, masa exam it was not 2019 yet lah. Alright, so we only have one table. But now because we already have another table for 2019, so you have to decide which table you should use for the correct rate lah. Kalau in here, in the 5th year is 15%. Kalau rate baru, in the 5th year sama juga, 50% juga. Penat dia. Okay, cuma the difference is that in the 6th year, you ada 5%. Right? Before this, in the 6th year, is a 0%. That's the difference lah. Yeah. Okay, coming back. So now you have, are you seeing the Excel ke sekarang ni? Resume sharing. I want to share new share. Where is it? Okay. Right, so 15%, so times by 65,200 times by 15%. So you should get 9780. Bila you nampak I punya schema lah kat sini ya, is OF. OF ni maknanya own figure. So it means that it, because you may not get the right, alright, you may not get the right amount for your disposal price or your acquisition price. So your exemption depends on your chargeable gain. So if your chargeable gain is, for example, let's say 80,000, so your exemption will be 8,000 or 10,000, right? So that this amount depends on how much your chargeable gain. So that's why amount given here is the own figure. Similarly to here lah, you may not get your amount here, right? So your tax liability based on this amount. So that's why whatever you have here based on own figure. So as long as you show me your workings, you should get the marks, yeah? And remember that not only Mr. John O has allowable losses brought forward, which we have deducted here, but he also had loss relief. So loss relief again brought forward is deducted against your RPGT payable. So that's how it works here. RPGT payable minus loss relief brought forward. Then you get the net of 8280 as your tax liability. In this case, your RPGT payable. All right. So there's a lot of reduction. Okay. Well, so that's settled with regard to your property in Johor. Property in Brunei. Yeah. Mr. John O disposed of property in Brunei. Remember that RPGT only for your RPGT in Malaysia. Real property in Malaysia. So if you have any property outside Malaysia, you dispose of, that will not attract RPGT. Yeah, because that is out of scope. No RPGT as outside Malaysia. Okay. Madam K. Madam K. Can we go on Madam K? Penat tak? Lepas ni cukuplah kita. Banyak dah belajar ini kan? Okay. Madam K, transfer royal property to control company by her is deemed no gain, no loss. Right? So, but then you have to know what is the AP of the property. AP of the property just now lah. AP of Mr. John O plus permitted expenses. And that you have computed that to be 115,200. And then you have the permitted expenses 920. So you should get the acquisition price plus PE for Madam K is 103,500. So shares acquired is deemed as chargeable asset. Transfer of shares to main one is subject to RPT. But remember that the whole shares is 250,000. Yeah, because why? Before the transfer of the property, Madam K already have 50,000 shares in the company. Then transfer property, she gets another 200,000 shares. So total share the 250,000. but the share subject to RP is only the 200,000, the share which is subject to the transfer of the property. So when you dispose of all, you dispose all the shares and you get 2.2 million. But remember that the disposal price 2.2 million is not all subject to RPGT. So that's why you have to apportion 200 over 250 times by 2,000, 2.2 million. So that's how you get your disposal price of the shares. Instead of 2.2 million, it should only be 1760. Right? So that's your disposal price of the shares, and this is your acquisition price of the shares. So you should get a chargeable gain of 724,800. Where do you get 724,800? Acquisition price of the building, all right, which is the AP of John O plus PE of John O. And then you dapat disposal price of the shares, which is based on the 200,000 shares only. So chargeable gain of 724. And then again, Madam K is an individual, so you give her 10% exemption. 72,480. So the balance, remember that the shares acquired with and disposed of within 3 years. So within 3 years, the rate is 30%. So you've got a RPGT payable of 195,696. All right. So that covers for that Madam K lah. All right. AKS dan Berhad, acquisition price of the, remember AKS ni maknanya tadi apa? Madam K transfer property to AKS, Madam K dapat shares. All right. So to AKS, you have to decide how much is the acquisition price of the AKS. So it goes back what is the action price of Madam K. So it goes back to AP plus PE of John O. Yeah, so it goes back to 1,035,200. It doesn't matter how much the company pay for the shares, right? But it goes back to the principal. For the company, the action price of the building is the AP of the transferor. Yeah, in this case, the Madam K lah. Right. So for that, this question carries 40 ticks. I'm not sure how much is the marks, but it has 40 ticks for the whole. So that's how I give I allocate the marks, right, for every item. That's why every item must be listed in your answer, because everything give a tick. Yeah. So be careful with that, and then be clear of what the question asks for. Understand the scenario, and then you have to decide, right, which individual, right? If there is a husband and wife, because the company blah. So careful with that. Don't spend don't jump very quickly lah in trying to answer the question, but try to understand the question first before you start, all right, writing down the answer. Okay, question.
Madam, can you explain the disposal price of Madam K?
Disposal price. Okay. In this case, you are talking about disposal price of the shares.
Yep.
Is the one ya? Nanti I tunjuk. Ni kan? Yang 1760, is it? Okay. How much is the disposal price of the shares?
Disposal price of the shares.
How much is the disposal price of the shares?
2.2.
2.2 million kan? For how many shares? 2.2 million tu?
All of her shares.
All shares. How many shares?
Yeah. 250.
250. Okay. Next question. Is all 250 is real property shares?
No, 50.
No.
50 tu apa?
200.
RP berapa? RP 200 je. So, when you jual the whole share tu 2.2 million. The one that is subject to real property, RPGT, is only 200,000. You jual 250,000 shares, so you apportion lah. You apportion lah. 200 is the real property shares. Over 250,000, the whole shares, you can sell at 2.2 million, right? So means that the one that you bring to tax is only 1.760 lah, the disposal price of the share. You get that? So 1.760 ni maknanya shares untuk 200,000 tu. You don't want to pay tax on 2.2 million sebab not all shares are real property shares. So that's why you apportion the disposal price instead of the disposal price of 2.2 million, your disposal price on the real property shares is only 1.76. Clear tak? Tak clear dah tu. Siapa yang tanya tadi?
Sangga.
Sorry, I was having a little connection problem. Yeah, I understand already. Portion.
Okay. Clear dah?
200 over 2. Yup. Yeah.
So yeah, clear. Okay, other than that,
Doctor, I not understand the most below one.
the most below one, which one? This one?
Yes, this one.
Okay. Kan I cakap tadi, mai lukis balik. You're talking about the what? Apa nama dia? The property. Okay. Tengok balik. Nampak tak tadi? John O bagi pada Madam K. Betul? Madam K give to, tak nampak. Mana dia?
AKS.
Okay. Madam K bagi pada AKS. Betul? AKS Indian Berhad. The property. Right? So John O give the property to Madam K. Madam K give the property to AKS, and AKS is a company controlled by Madam K. So that's why, and then in return, alright, dia bagi shares pada Madam K. Okay, so this one is a company controlled by Madam K. Because of this condition, menyebabkan to Madam K, the disposal of the property to AKS is a no gain, no loss. Clear? John O pada Madam K pun no gain, no loss sebab husband and wife. Cuma in this case, you have to decide what is the AP of Madam K. It goes back to AP of John O plus PE. Right. So company AKS ni, dia dapat property from Madam K. How much dia kena bayar? Dia kena bayar? How much dia kena bayar tadi? Tak ingat. How much is the, berapa dia shares yang Madam K dapat berapa?
200,000.
Oh, 200.
200,000 shares. Each one 200,000 ke? Sikitnya.
Yes.
I'm 2 million.
2 million kan?
Million total.
2 million.
Okay lah.
Yes.
Kan? Sangat. Janganlah. Mahal tau. Tanah. Okay, sekejap nak tengok balik. Madam K. Mana Madam K tadi? Tak ada. Quiet. Madam K. 2 million. 2 million. Alright. Nampak tak? Sekarang cerita dia. Alright. Madam K bagi property pada AKS. AKS give shares to Madam K. 2 million. Right? Tapi to create AKS, the acquisition price of the property is not 2 million. It's not the amount that AKS paid to Madam K. For RPGT purpose, acquisition price of AKS is actually AP of Madam K, AP of Madam K plus PE of Madam K. Right? AP of the company is AP of Madam K plus PE of Madam K, which goes back to kat sini lah tadi yang kita dapat 1035 tadi. So that will also be the AP of AKS Indian Berhad. Kalau you nak tengok textbook, is here. Ada dalam textbook. Sekejap Exception. Oh lagi. Dia ada dekat sini. Right, transferer is the individual lah. In this case, Madam K. Right, 18.2. And then the transferee is the company AKS Indian Berhad. So transferee company ni. Ni. So AP dia is AP of Madam K. And Madam K AP goes back to John O lah. So that's why in the answer, You share. Mana answer I? The answer at the bottom, acquisition price of the property is AP of Madam K, which goes back to 1035. Mana dapat 1035 ni tadi kat atas lah. 1035 ni kita dapat tadi, which is the AP of John O plus total expenses incurred by John O. Okay.
Okay, Doctor.
Is that the question? Okay, next question. Ini soalan final exam ni soalan tau. Of the
Doctor.
previous quiz. Yes.
Then it is also said that she incurred the following expenses: valuation, legal, stamp duty. It doesn't count in the
Sekejap I have
acquisition.
She incurred maknanya siapa?
Madam K.
Madam K dispose of mana-mana?
She subsequently entered into an agreement of transfer the building to AKS. And then she have a sum of RM 2 million, but she incurred the following expenses, so it doesn't count in the price. Oh,
but sekarang ni bila nak cakap Madam K, bila dia transfer dia jadi part of disposal price kan? Betul? All this valuation fee ni because you dispose of the property to AKS Indian Berhad. But remember that to Madam K, the disposal of property to AKS is what? Disposal of property from Madam K to AKS is cepat. Kenapa you tak take into account those expenses? Incidental cost. Sekarang sekali, Madam K transfer property to AKS. AKS is a company controlled by Madam K. In return, Madam K dapat shares of, how much was it? Shares of 2 million kan? So when you have that, dua condition tu. Satu, when you transfer property to a company controlled by you or by your spouse or by your relative, plus the transfer, right? In return, you dapat shares at least 7% in the form of shares in that company, right? So when you have these two, right? One is the control company transfer, not related company, yeah. Number two are the shares in return. Then these give rise to no gain, no loss to Madam K. Bila no gain, no loss, maknanya you tak payah nak kira lah what is your acquisition price and disposal price on the transfer. Nampak? So that's why you tak payah nak take into account whatever expenses incurred in disposing the property to AKS and Berhad. Because it is disregarded. Why? Because it's no gain, no loss. Why should I compute my disposal price?
Understood. Okay, Doctor, thank you.
All right. Next. You can actually look for many more, all right, question on RPGT. If we were to do, for example, professional paper, talking about ACCA, right? Normally ACCA lah, yeah, ACCA, and then we have MIA paper, we also have CTIM paper, right? So memang RPGT is one of the questions that will be asked in the exam lah, yeah. And the question is more or less is like this, yeah. It's on the acquisition price and disposal price lah. If you have covered it, means that you should be able to do your question on RPGT in your professional paper. Okay.
Okay, Doctor.
Okay. So, well, I think that I have covered almost all lah, yeah, on the RPGT. Yeah, I know that the topic is quite heavy, right? But you can always go back to it's good now you have the recorded lecture. You can always go back, all right? Whenever you are not sure, you can always go back to the lecture and see to get further understanding. In any case, anytime that you have doubt, right, you have queries or you need any clarification on the topic, all right, you can always WhatsApp me, right? You can ask me whether you can, but you can also ask in the class group, because why? When you ask one question, all right, and other students may also want to know the answer for your question. They may not know also the problem with that, right? They may not realize, oh, there's such an issue with regard to the question or such regard to the topic. Yeah, so that's why if you ask in the group, then actually it will benefit everyone else, right? You may think that your question is silly question or stupid question, but believe me, many actually learn from the question, right? So don't feel bad not to ask in the, because if I were to ask you individually, all right, then some other student may also ask the same question. So I have to repeat one more time. So might as well you ask in the group and everyone can learn from that. Okay, we are. I have not covered. Oh, okay, maybe now, all right. Because I've covered your tutorial question, I want to go back a bit, which I have not covered on this exemption for companies. Yeah, or maybe have I gone through this private residence exemption, or is it in my lecture already?
Already.
Yeah, okay, done. But this one not yet, kan? Yang exemption on companies ni. Have I covered this?
Not yet.
Okay. So exemption for companies ni is another subtopic lah. Yeah. But it says that company that dispose of real property to another company. So it has to be company to company lah. Yeah. Can deem. We have only 10 minutes left. So hopefully we can finish. Can deem the disposal to be transaction that give rise to no gain, no loss. All right. Provided that the disposal fall within the ambit of para 17 of schedule 2. So you have to take note tau. All right. Exemption of company ni para 17 schedule 2. Sometimes in the question, dia tak mention exemption. Dia kata, okay, the company for the disposal of the property fall under para 2 of schedule, para 17 of schedule 2. So you should know what is a para 17 of schedule 2 under RPGT. All right. So you may want to note that, okay, this one is para 17 schedule 2. So mean that kalau you point to that, means that it's a no gain, no loss. There are 3 circumstances where a company can treat the disposal to be no gain, no loss. So that one under para 17(1)A, para 17(1)B, and para 17(1)C. So if you fall into any of these, then you can claim the disposal to the disposer, to the company that disposed, is a no gain, no loss. 17(1)A, where real property is disposed of between companies in the same group. To bring about greater efficiency in operation, the disposal will be treated as a disposal on which transferor receive no gain, no loss. If at least, ada condition ya, 70% of the consideration for real property consists of shares in the transferee company and the balance in money payment. Again, company A transfer to company B, both are in the same group, right? So company A transfer property to company B, in return company B bagi shares pada company A, and the shares must be at least 75% of the consideration. Katalah dia kata transfer property value 1 million, in return company akan bagi 750,000 shares in the company, or maybe 1 million shares in the company as a return. So because of that, to the disposer is a no gain, no loss. Yeah, it's a no gain, no loss. Itu satu. Number 2 is that para 7(1)B and para 7(1)C. It says that allow disposal among company to be treated as a disposal, give rise no gain, no loss. E71B, asset is transferred for a consideration between companies in any scheme of reorganization, reconstruction, or amalgamation. All right, maybe, all right, with regard to this COVID now, many companies actually are they are merging, all right, because of the financial issues. Many companies actually goes bankrupt. Alright, so for that, alright, liquidator tu kita datang second. Saya want say B dulu Bila you cakap pasal reorganization, reconstruction, A jadi A plus B. Alright, you merge A and B jadi A, B, C. So all this structure, alright, if you because of this amalgamation, because of this reorganization, resulted in the transfer of property from one company to another company, then that gives rise to no gain, no loss. Okay. And 71C says that an asset is limited by a liquidator of a company, and the liquidation of the company was made under the scheme of reorganization, reconstruction, or amalgamation. Similarly, because of the reconstruction, everything, you have to transfer. So you can bagi one company may go into liquidation. So the asset will be transferred to a liquidator. So because of that, the transfer from the liquidator to another company is a no gain, no loss situation. All right. So, but on top of that, it says that the scheme of reorganization, reconstruction, or amalgamation should be one sanctioned by the court under the provision of Companies Act is carried out in compliance with government policy on capital participation in industry. Yeah, so it's not simply you suka-suka je, I nak pergi reorganize lah. No, you have to get the court order everything lah. Yeah, it's not that easy. Okay, tadi kita ada transferor company is a no gain, no loss. What about the transferee company? The company that received the property is deemed to have acquired the real property at the acquisition price equal to the acquisition price paid by the transferor company plus permitted expenses incurred by the transferor. The actual consideration paid by the transferee company is ignored. For example, katalah company A you transfer pada company B, so B is the transferee, right? So the action price of this transferee, katalah in this case, this is for the you have to look at kalau dapat shares tadi kan, katalah you bayar 1 million shares tapi property tu actually 2 million for example. Right, so the one that you pay is disregarded. You kena tengok balik AP of the transferor. Mana aku punya transferor ni? Ni transferee, ni transferee. Okay, so AP and PE of the transferor will be the acquisition price of the transferee. Right, okay. Then how you decide on the acquisition date will be on the agreement date or the transferor's acquisition date. So that one further lah. Alright. Okay. Tadi kita kata no gain no loss for the transferor, but that one can be withdrawn. Katalah, alright. The approval will be withdrawn by the DG within 3 years of approval if it appears to him that transfer was made wholly or partly for some purpose other than mentioned. Right, katalah tadi kita nak cakap pasal amalgamation ke apa, because if not for that purpose, tak boleh. Dia akan tarik balik lah. So bila dia tarik balik, withdraw, it means that if the RB withdraw the approval, means that now, previously it was no gain, no loss, but if it's withdrawn because you do not fulfill the conditions, then it says that you'll be charged lah. Then now you have to compute what is your acquisition price or disposal price. Yeah, initially you don't have to pay tax, but now you have to pay tax. And then you remember 71A talk about group of companies. So if any of the company transferees cease to be in the same group of company within that 3 years, then they akan withdraw juga. Alright, take back the approval for no gain, no loss, and the transferee company cease to be resident in Malaysia. Again, alright, this is only given for a Malaysian company who is a resident. Right. If you withdraw, the GG withdraw, he would then raise any assessment on the transfer company to recover RPGT payable. All right. Okay, so that covers on the assumption. Okay, and then this one is the example. And it happened that for question number 2 tadi, all right, we have covered your deceased person, executor, and the legatee lah. So in other words, whenever case of deceased person, the AP of the beneficiary is actually the market value rather than AP plus PE. So that is a different lah, right? To the deceased person is a no gain no loss, tapi pada beneficiary will be the market value at the date of transfer. Is good, right? Because the market value normally is higher than the normal actual acquisition price. So that means that the beneficiary will actually pay lower tax because the chargeable gain is lower. Okay. So, alright, I've talked about this collection. Okay. Assuming that you have no gain, no loss, I mean that your disposal is exempted from tax, or you have a zero tax liability, you still have to inform in letter, you still have to submit your CKHD form together with another form that say that, okay, you are claiming for exemption or you have a zero tax liability. So this one is mentioned here lah. The penalty is 10% lah if you have wrongly non-compliant everything. So we have covered that 3% withholding tax for this, and for foreigner instead of 3% now is holding period instead of 5 years, 7%, yeah. Dia punya the withhold retain amount to 7% instead of 3%. It's higher, right? All right. So this part you should read a bit, all right, because it's on the theoretical part, on the practical part of the RPGT. So I have less than a minute. I think that what else can we cover? It's a long topic, but it's okay. I like this topic actually. Next week, after Raya, maybe I will use the upgrade version of Zoom. We plan to pay for the upgrading of the Zoom so that we don't have the limitation of 40 minutes. Okay. Do you have any more questions? If you don't have it, maybe we can end the session today. If anything, we can continue in the WhatsApp group. If you need more clarification, I have about 30 seconds to go. I don't know what else to cover. If you have any question, you can ask me. Otherwise, we can. Dah tak larat dah kan? You want to continue or not? 10 seconds. Okay lah So I end the class today. Thank you for your participation ya. Kenapa tak habis lagi ni? Selamat Hari Raya.
Selamat Hari Raya.